Welcome to Sister Scoot, where we are covering Marvel news topics for the week. And we're going to get right into the very first one, which is super exciting for us, which is that Marvel plans their animation and TV segments to be at NYCC this year. We plan to be in attendance to at least NYCC, hopefully, maybe the panels now that we know that they're going to be having them. And obviously, especially as big fans of the animation side of Marvel, this is great news. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be so fun. I think the Marvel Zombies comes out at the end of September, right? So this will be right after that comes out. So we will have gotten quite a few animated properties this year. I'll be curious to see kind of what they put out for next year and what they actually put kind of a line in the sand. Obviously, X-Men 97 season 2 is hopefully going to be the big announcement. I mean,
I
if they
hope
don't
so.
announce that, that would be devastating.
Yes.
But I definitely also want to get a little bit of a picture of kind of what shows they're going to put out next year. I think we obviously know Daredevil, but there's also the Vision show. We assume it's going to come out next year, but timing wise, we'll be really curious kind of when that will be, because that could also play interestingly into, obviously I would think it would be before Doomsday, but kind of when that is and all that is all a consideration. So I think from the TV side, we don't know a lot of dates. We know some properties that we think are done or almost done, but I'll be really curious to kind of plot it all out. And I'm really hoping that that's what that panel does.
Yeah, I think you mentioned quite a few projects. I mean, obviously X-Men 97 season 2 is top on the list, mainly because we've pretty much known that season's been done for a while, so I think it's, as fans, been a little frustrating to sit on that one specifically because we want to see it, right? Like the end of that season was
Yeah.
crazy. We want to see what comes next. So that one's big on the list. I know it is. But you also, on the other side, the television side, you name some shows that we do know are in the pipeline. We don't know much about them. We don't necessarily know when they're coming out. So it would be nice to get a little bit more information on that. And also, maybe they'll give a little bit more on what those updates about Marvel television is going to look like. I mean, we do know we had that bigger update about the change in how the shows are going to be, how we're going to have more seasons. I'm curious to see if we're finally going to get a Hawkeye season 2 announcement, because that's just been swirling, So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this is very exciting because I think movie wise, we're relatively aligned. And even in the next phase, I think we all know like the X-Men are coming. We have a general idea, but I think the television and animation side is going to be really interesting to hear more about.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in the works that's kind of like unclear exactly where it is in the process or like when it's coming out. So I hope that there's a lot of clarity. That's my like major goal.
Yeah. I'm just excited. I'm hoping there's just fun announcements. I feel like we haven't been able to get many of those because Marvel's pulled back from a lot of things. So I'm hoping there's some good announcements so that help us gauge what's coming next. But speaking of
For
what's
sure.
coming next, we know Doomsday is coming on the horizon. And by on the horizon, I mean we still have over a year before it, and they're obviously filming it. But Deadpool, we have to talk about him. He has pretty much hinted at the fact that he's going to be in Doomsday. I don't think any of us should be entirely shocked by that news. That seems to be what the whole Deadpool Wolverine point was, but it's still exciting.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Hollywood Reporter is pretty much reporting that he's in the film. So that's a pretty reputable source, basically saying this is pretty much confirmed. So
Yeah.
this is super exciting. To your point, I don't think that anybody is very surprised the direction that they took Deadpool 3 with it being so multiversal focused and the TVA and all of those things. I don't think, anybody's shocked. It was very much leading towards this kind of multiversal culmination. I think the interesting thing to then kind of distinguish here is they have pretty much said he's not going to be an Avenger. I know Ryan Reynolds has basically kind of come out and said, like, yeah, that's kind of the pinnacle for him. Like, if he becomes an Avenger, there's not much further I can take the character because he has truly achieved his one lifelong goal. So I actually think, when they're ready to sunset that character, that should be the moment that, like, he finally becomes an Avenger and then he retires, whatever. But he's not going to be an Avenger officially, like, member of the squad in this film, which is interesting because you've got two different Avengers teams and yet he can't make either one.
I mean, I'm just trying my best to think about his interactions with Bucky and John.
I
and
know.
Alexi. And I'm just like, yeah, I understand where that's a lot to try and fit him in there. And then obviously you
Yeah.
have the like buttoned up Avengers on the other side. So which he clearly doesn't fit on. So I do think that is kind of interesting. I also will say, if you think about who we're expecting in this film, it's not the weirdest to me that he's not necessarily an Avenger, because I think
Agreed.
we can have the titles, we can have the names, we could say, oh, you're on your fancy team, but we're expecting literally everybody from every honestly walk of this, like anywhere you go you're gonna find somebody. I mean, we're getting the OG X-Men back. Like, I'm expecting so much happening that I'm not really like, oh, you're not tied to a team, oh, you're not officially an Avenger. Like, I don't really think it matters. It's to me reads
Yeah.
a lot like Infinity War, where you were like, hey, listen, it's all hands on deck, whether you are an established hero, part of the Avengers campus and everything else, or you're not. So I do agree. I think his character, it would be weird to see him be an actual Avenger. I do think the new Avengers are sitting there, and that could be a final resting spot for him. I think that would fit, but I'm okay with him kind of being his own team of one, if you will.
Yeah, agreed. He's kind of he's an interesting one to try to team up with.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to move on to our final topic, which is also related to Doomsday, as a lot of our news tends to be nowadays. And it's about Xochitl, our girl, non-committal. Not sure. I think she's lying.
I mean, how are they going to have this film without the most multiversal character that exists? I mean, look, we know
Exactly.
Wanda's extremely multiversal, Doctor Strange extremely multiversal just by nature of their power, but her entire thing is that she can move within the multiverse.
Yeah.
So, why would you have an entire like part one, part two that is wrapping up the multiversal saga without it? And that's what a lot of the articles were saying. Like, you can say, I don't know all you want, but like common sense says that you do know and you're
Yeah.
there and you're doing the thing. So, like, it's fine. In fact, it's more than fine. I'm excited. I'm excited to see her again. We haven't seen her in a minute, and she's probably going to be way more in control of her powers. Like, I'm excited to see kind of, depending on how big the time jump is, like how much she's progressed in the control and the use of her powers, knowing that she's at Comertage with teachers who that's what they do. They teach people how to use magic, and she's essentially magical. So I think that's something I'm really excited for. I loved her character. I think she's great as an actress, and I'm pumped to see kind of where she is now in comparison to where we left her off.
Yeah. I also think from a like in real life meta almost standpoint, this girl has gone to every single premiere that pretty much has existed in all of Marvel since MOM. And
Yeah.
everybody's been like, we don't know why she's here, but we love her. She serves a look every single time. Like, we're good. I like seeing her at the premieres, but she literally has been at every single one. And so I think even just from that standpoint, I'm like, you're not showing up to these premieres to be like, I'm not sure I'll be in Doomsday. Like, come on, girl. We know you're going to be. And to your point,
Yeah.
like, we're all assuming she's a multiversal character. She's the multiversal character, if you really want to argue it. So I'm expecting her to be, I would be, I'm on the same page as you. I would be really excited to see where she's progressed. I mean, I guess I'm not 100% sure on the timeline, and we don't need to break our minds trying to do the timeline right now. But I'm not sure how many years it will have been, but she could have had quite a few years of training at that point. So it will be just in general
Yeah.
very exciting to see where she's been and how she's come so far.
Yeah, for sure. She's a character I will definitely be excited to see, and I'm like very much looking out for. So
Yeah.
she's one that I kind of forgot wasn't in the chair reveal. That was just an overwhelming day, but she's one
half
that I
of them
hope
aren't in the chair
makes it in the
reveal.
second round.
Like,
Yeah.
we're
I mean,
missing
Benedict Cumberbatch has confirmed he's in the film, and he obviously
Right.
wasn't in the chair reveal. So
Right.
there's so much more to come.
Yeah, I'm not worried because we're missing a whole half of cast members. Like, I'm not mad.
Yeah.
Well,
It'll be
that
fine.
has been this week's Sister Scoop. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with 3 more Marvel news topics, as always. And make sure you guys are also listening to us on the podcast side, as we are going back to some of our replays and we're covering Infinity War, believe it or not. And that one hurts. That one hurt to rewatch. I'm not going to lie. So make sure you guys are going over to the podcast and giving us a listen over there as well. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.